Sent the image. She's just sent me the words "milk, John." I don't know if that's a suggestion or that's the title or
start milking him immediately.
Milk him now. And on that note, hello everyone, and welcome back to episode 5 of Off the Shelf Hobby Podcast. With me hosting GazOfAllTrades, and always I am joined by 2 of the 5. Being the brothers, the power couple, Alex and George. How are you both? Couple as in 2, not couple as in lovers.
So
like a coupling.
2 of the 5. Which one of us 3 aren't you including?
I don't count. It's fine.
Yep. You're here only in spirit.
There we go. Well, how are you both?
I'm
good.
Great.
It's the end of the month, and as previously mentioned, I am now going to be starting my chaos.
It's happened.
The construction of the chaos. Yeah. So I'm trying to figure out how to base them.
Probably Alex may finish that army before I even finish one of mine. And that's the dream, you know, that's the hope. That's the challenge.
I mean, the plan is to finish this and then get Lumineth, probably now.
That's understandable.
Which has been sidetracked from.
It was gonna be getting Hallowheart, but
you've decided against that now.
They're just cool, man.
I mean, yeah, they are just cool. But I think we've got a fairly chill podcast today. Currently, Evan is away, but he will be joining us shortly, and John is trapped in the void somewhere. And he will hopefully arrive. Then when he does, he will break our entire video overlay, because it relies on us being all here at the same time, and make my life hell.
He'll come with force.
He will. But...
power.
Oh?
Ooh, the man has returned.
Is that who's with the man has returned? Is that Evan?
It's me, John. Hi.
Hi, John. We're just doing the hellos and everything as we started recording. So, so things for this week. We've got a couple of different topics to talk about. One of just generic hobby news, of the GW variety, because it's talking about some of the Dark Angels reveals that Games Workshop have shown off in the last couple days, and also as of filming, they released another one today. So we're gonna have a talk about that. We've probably got some opinions. Other things we're probably going to mention is, and kind of carrying on from our Tuesday stream of talking about maybe some 3D printing, because I'm starting to 3D print a model that we're all going to have a go at, which we'll put together for a video, and I think that's going to be really cool. And also just maybe talk about some extra hobby stuff, and just talk about, you know, getting to know, presenting ourselves to everyone, you know, just because we've just kind of arrived talking about Warhammer, and no one knows in reality who we are or what we want to do. So I think we're going to have a good chat about that. But first things first, let's get the initial part out of the way, and then we move into the box. So, Dark Angel reveals. The Codex is going up for pre-order this current Saturday, which is the 30th of January, alongside things like the Storm Strikes, the Storm Speeders, a couple of books, and Blade Guard Veteran kits. Like, they finally got their own kits now, but the Dark Angels Codex come out, so we've got some reveals to be shown off, and we'll just jump right into that and just have it a bit more low key today. And George is already shaking his head, and what is it, George? What's wrong?
Can't believe you missed the most important announcement.
What would that be?
The Necron Psychomancer.
Oh, that's true. That's true. The Necron Psychomancer, the biggest thing coming out of the entirety of the Necron Codex.
Right in the bin. Psychomancer.
Or every day. I want an entire army of Psychomancers. That's what I want.
Going right in my basket.
And speaking of, you know, entire armies of one unit, a lot of what we've been seeing from the articles reveals is more just because of the Dark Angels being the special snowflakes they are, and having 2 specific sub-factions inside their codex with their own keywords. And GW are giving it to the Dark Angels. There's too many D's. that they're finally giving them what they've been asking for, which is being able to easily and reliably run a full army of your Deathwing, your first company, or your Ravenwing, the second company. So we're going to have a look through those today. I think we may as well just jump straight into it. So, as I get my web screen ready...
I still find it weird that they're called Ravenwing.
Well, because Raven Guard exists.
Because they're not Raven Guard. Yeah, they're the black guys on bikes with Raven in their name.
I mean, yeah, they also have Corvus hammers.
Yep.
Yeah.
And
They're simps.
what's the speeder called? The fancy speeder.
Oh, the
the
land speeder.
The Dark Shroud.
Yeah, the
and
Shroud.
The something else, something vengeance. I can think. I don't know.
I was thinking that was called Corvus something as well.
No, it's not. It's not that. It's not that bad.
You have the Dark Talon Flyer
Dark Talon. That's probably it.
and the Nephilim Jet Fighter.
Nephilim makes sense.
It's a cool flyer. So, right, which cam am I turning off for this? Let's turn off. No, that's currently George's face. That's showing off where he would have been. So for people who are unaware of Dark Angels and how they work, the Secretive First Legion have a couple of very specific companies inside their chapter. The two being, as we mentioned, the Deathwing, the Inner Circle, the first company, pretty much entirely made up of Terminators and interrogator chaplains and peoples with big shields and things like that. And then they've got the Speedy Boys, and all the Speedy Boys live in the second company of Ravenwing. And the idea, at least before, was during 8th edition 40k, at least, because that's the main reference I have to go off of, is that it wasn't really a good idea to run an entire army of Ravenwing because you got next to no benefit of it.
Yeah, I faced one in a tournament with Necrons, and it's a lot of shooting. It's a lot of shooting.
Yeah.
But the entire game, they did not move, is what bugged me. I'm just like, what's the point?
What's the point in playing Ravenwing if they're not moving? That's the entire point of Ravenwing.
They all just like jinked every turn.
Yeah.
Which I think you need to move to do, but technically they just move but don't move anywhere.
Yeah, no, like they've changed that luckily in this, but yeah. So a lot of their Ravenwing kind of stuff always relied on, you had a couple of specific Ravenwing units which were on speeder bikes. You had the Shroud, as previously mentioned, being like a special land speeder temple thing. You also had the Ravenwing, the Flyer, which was called the Nephilim, which are still available. They'll be obviously in the Codex. And the main thing is, and I think this is an interesting way of doing it, because it actually allows you to take multiple detachments and kind of pay back the cost. Well, actually, no, probably not pay back the cost, but you're not as penalized as much for splitting up your army. So
you're not taking as heavy a hit.
Yeah, so a lot of what, if you are going to be playing Ravenwing as building a Dark Angels list with entirely Ravenwing, you're going to be wanting Outrider detachments. You don't have troops. You're pretty much just relying on bike squads, Outriders, and anything of that sort. Anything that's been the fast attack, maybe in elites, I think, HQs, that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
So they've revealed that if every unit in your army except unaligned units has the Dark Angels keyword, then Dark Angels Outrider detachments that only contain models with the Ravenwing keyword gain the second company ability, which is bike squads and Outrider squads, so your small bikes and Primaris bikers. Units in this detachment gain the objective secured ability as described in the Warhammer 40k core rulebook. In addition, if your Warlord is part of this detachment, this detachment's commands benefits are changed to +3 command points.
How much does that Outrider cost?
It costs 3.
Yeah, it costs 3. So you're just gaining. If you run an Outrider, you're not losing anything. You are just getting that cost back.
Yeah. The same as Battalion, right?
And having Outriders with how terrifying they are, the Primaris bikers, and giving them objectives secured. Obviously, you can the only way you could take them in more than 3 is inside the Death Watch. I highly doubt that's going to change for the Dark Angels book, but still, a 3-man unit of those bikers, and your bike squads, which you're going to have lots of anyway, and you're going to be flooding the board with them, probably, because I think they went down in points. The firstborn bikers. That's kind of scary. Because the sheer maneuverability and just being able to lock down and pretty much your entire army being toughness 5 or higher, I don't think it's anything to sniff at. And with, in addition to an extra rule that they get, with them advancing all the time, which is the Jink rule, they are extremely survivable. So I think this is a very good change. It's a very fluffy change. And I'm a bit scared. Not gonna lie.
I mean, they were like the strongest aspect of Dark Angels anyway, comparatively. But yeah, now it's the same, if not a bit better. Yeah. Especially with the OBSEC.
Especially because also your main kind of things of having like Black Knights on everything. They are even going to be even more scarier now. And
yeah, shame they don't get OBSEC though.
Yeah, it is, but it's because they're elites, I guess, is that they're the rarer ones.
You would just take Black Knights if they were OBSEC.
Yeah.
This at least makes you take Outriders.
Oh yeah, but that's the thing is, Outriders, you're going to be willing to pay that cost because they're just good. Having an entire Primaris Ravenwing force, very viable now, especially with the Storm Speeder. You just don't really get access to...
Don't have a HQ slot though.
Primaris Chaplain on bike.
Oh yeah, of course.
He gets the Ravenwing keyword because he's on a bike.
Of course he does. I forgot.
Which is actually, that means you can make him an Interrogator Chaplain on Ravenwing bike, which is actually pretty sick. He's the fast Interrogator. But they also gain, we've seen their Super Doctrine now, because it turns out every version of the Dark Angels will have a separate doctrine, a separate Super Doctrine. Or it may be a sub-doctrine that affects at the same time as the standard Dark Angels one, which is, if you bear with me, and I find it. I should have really had this prepared, but I'm just trying to...
I think they said it's split into 3, isn't it?
Yeah. So, yeah. Probably it's in the paragraph that's currently there that I'm looking at, but I'm also not paying attention to because I'm reading this book. Chapter Tactics. Right, so the Dark Angels Chapter Tactic. Each time a model with this tactic makes an attack, unless the model's unit has moved this turn, add 1 to the attack's hit roll. Each time a combat attrition test is taken for that unit, for a unit with this tactic, it's automatically passed. So, they may... Oh wait, no, that's not Super Doctrine, is it?
No.
That's just Chapter Tactics, never mind. Ignore me. What page would that be on? Piss.
Is it
wouldn't it be in the Dark Angel supplement?
Yeah.
Oh, who has the Dark Angel supplement, honestly?
They get re-rolling ones of plasma or something, don't they?
Yeah, something to do with plasma.
Weapons.
Yeah, but the main thing is that when they're in... So in the first round of the game, because it's only ever going to be round 1 for Devastator, they have a +3 to their move for all Ravenwing units, and they are eligible to shoot in units. Ravenwing units from your army are eligible to shoot with in a turn in which they advanced. Each time a model in that unit makes a ranged attack in a turn in which it advanced, the attack suffers the penalty incurred to the hit roll as if firing an assault weapon. So what's
interesting about this is it doesn't specify rapid fire like most things do, so you can, advance a multi-melter attack bike and still shoot it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You are obviously at -1 to hit, so you're hitting it on 4s, but...
What's really nice is it doesn't make it assault.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's as if it's assault. So, I think it's a good... This is actually one of the clearer rules I've seen from a codex.
This is going to be so scary when you have plasma gun bikes just darting up the board and just going bang, 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 bang.
Oh yeah, and it kind of makes you very happy that the Outriders don't have plasma, but it also makes it very scary because the Storm Strike speeders, the Storm speeders with the big tri-melter guns, or the all of the missiles, can just appear, and they have a 14-inch move. There's a 17-inch move that they get with this in the first round, and if you take the heavy ones with because this is also the one that I'm going to be playing with in my Salamanders list. Once I find it, it's the no, it's not the Thunder Strike, the Hammer Strike with the Melter Destroyer. Yeah, it's a 16-inch move in Devastator Doctrine. So that's a 19-inch move. The gun itself has a 24-inch range. You can advance with the pissing thing, and you're hitting on 4s. And you're obviously, with that amount of movement, you are getting into melter range with something. You may not necessarily take the melter version, though.
Oh,
It's John Gregson.
Hello there.
Okay. Yeah, John's gonna appear and mess all the webcams up.
Boom.
There it is.
Jonathan.
Oh yeah, I need to repair Alex's one now, so bear with me a second. But carry on talking about Ravenwing.
So I think this is going to be for the doctrines in general, because we've got this one. I'm assuming I haven't actually looked at the next one, which is the Deathwing, right?
Mm-hmm. Well, we'll do that together.
Is that in the Assault or the Tactical Doctrine?
I cannot remember. We'll look at it in a sec anyway.
I'm assuming it'll be Assault, but the Tactical Doctrine I assume is going to stay the same as roughly what they have now.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't actually need to
probably.
I don't know anything about Dark Angels.
I'm really curious about Dark Angels, to be fair.
All I know is they shoot lots of plasma and they have bikes that don't move, but this looks much better.
So, speaking of the bikes that don't move, they've specifically changed how that rule works. But I want to point out, with the Devastator Doctrine activated, it doesn't also specify that the Invader ATV, which has the bike keyword, does not get OPSEC, but it does benefit, obviously.
It's bike squad unit,
exactly.
Not biker.
Yeah. So that's a very... it specifies at least. But, those Invader ATVs are running up the board, moving probably like up to around 15 inches with an Onslaught Gatling cannons hitting on 4s. It's kind of nuts. And in Devastating Doctrine, so they're -2. It's really scary.
What is quite commonly part of the meta now in 9th edition is hiding the majority of your army for first turn so you don't get shot off the board. And by the looks of things, this army says, no, you can't do that.
Nah.
They're just going to zip straight into...
They can just move into line of sight and shoot you off the board turn 1.
You look down, you finish your deployment.
And then shoot out.
Yeah. It's like you look down, your deployment's finished, and you just see the Dark Angels player across the table just shaking his head at you. And he won't say why.
Right.
He just... No. So, let's carry on. So they showed off a couple of stratagems. There's also a slight note here that specifies. So we'll have a look at the stratagems as well, which leads into the Jink rule. So, full throttle, 1 CP to 2 CP. Use the stratagem in your movement phase. After a Ravenwing unit from your army advances, that unit must immediately makes a normal move of up to 12 inches, but is not eligible to shoot with or declare a charge with this turn. If the unit has 5 or fewer models, it's 1 CP, otherwise it's 2. So you completely sacrifice a turn of shooting, but you put them in a... You then... How far does a bike move normally?
14 inches.
So 14 inches, plus an extra 3 in first turn, plus this, so that's 17 plus potentially 12 more. You could just completely skirt them onto an objective where they cannot be shot, and just sacrifice them not shooting for a turn.
pretty speedy.
It's very fast, and you know they're probably going to be using these to maximize the amount of CP it would be using these on Outriders, because you know they're big, bulky. They're probably not going to die straight away.
Why is after the advance as well?
Because the main
I think get to advance as well. Jesus.
Yeah, so I think a main reason for that is linking into the second one and the note of high speed focus. Use the stratagem in your opponent's shooting phase. When you allocate a ranged attack to a Raven Wing vehicle from your army, until the end of your next turn, or until the start of your next turn, that model has a 4-up invuln against ranged attacks. But, in addition to that, so the vehicles don't get Jink anymore. They only get a Virus Stratagem. However, your fans of the classic Jink rule will be happy to know that it's still alive and well amongst the second company's forces. But if you can't afford to advance for that 4-up, delicious 4-up invuln, it's good to know that high-speed focus has you in a pinch. So to me, that reads that the bikes still get it, but anything that's a vehicle doesn't get it. That's how that reads to me.
But you can't afford to do that. Pinch. No.
Or do you think that still count for everything? Do you think? Because why would you get the access to a stratagem?
That just reads to me as Ravenwing have Jink.
High speed focus.
No. The paragraph underneath.
But you have to advance.
Yeah. Which you're going to be doing anyway.
It's saying that if you can't advance.
Oh, okay.
You could just use this stratagem for the same effect.
I don't know why.
Yeah.
I swear when I first looked at it, it said that differently. But I honestly can't remember. I thought it said specifically something about bikes only having it.
Because high speed focus stratagem is way closer to what Jink is than what Jink is.
Yeah.
As in, like, Jink used to be, you know, someone would shoot you and you go, phew, evasive maneuver.
It's, what's it called? Fire and Fade. Kind of like Fire and Fade.
No.
Fire and Fade is actually shooting as a move.
Yeah.
Oh, you mean like lightning fast reflexes?
That's the one.
Right?
They also that's the only two Eldar stratagems I know of. Okay.
Yeah, that's because they're like both.
Yeah,
they're the ones that they're only used.
Lightning fast reflexes is dumb.
Yeah. But again, a lot of this is just kind of showing off that they are trying to build as fluffy of a list as possible, or at least in terms of giving you very fluffy rules.
And just like the little addendum at the bottom, just we could hear the White Scars howling from here.
Yeah, because get fucked White Scars.
Yeah, I was gonna say, what's the point of playing White Scars now?
There isn't one.
Speed.
Okay, cool. Just make
well,
sure.
no, you can have intercessors.
If you don't like painting black, you can paint white instead.
Pretty much.
You can have curved swords.
I mean, yeah, true. That's basically it. There is, at this point, next to no reason to play White Scars. Apart from the fact of, obviously, the Raven Wing, you are very limited in your choice. But at the same time, you're doing the thing the White Scars are in their entire point of their faction, and doing it better.
Yeah, I guess the difference is the Raven Wing are elite guys on bikes. The White Scars are everybody is on a bike and very fast.
Yeah, points difference. Definitely.
Including those intercessors foot slogging. They have tiny wheels. They have Heelys. So therefore they are currently on bikes.
Yeah.
Yes!
We need some tactical Heelys. That's what we need. And obviously we've got the very photoshopped picture here.
Oh my gosh, I was looking at that and I was like, the lighting is just so up. It's honestly...
It's really weird.
It's so jarring.
Honestly, they've done a good job. I don't think it's actually that bad, but it's just...
It's just bizarre.
Weird, yeah.
I think it looks absolutely hideous.
It's funny.
Do you know, I think you're right. I think they have done a good job. If it was a rush job, if someone said, "Oh, by the way, you've got like half a day to do this picture,"
or even then, they can't do it because they can't get into the office because of COVID.
I don't think they could have done better.
No, probably not.
It's just funny to see.
It just looks weird.
Because at the end of the day, that will always look awkward because it's just not on a base. Or
same with this one as well.
See, that one looks so much better.
Yeah, I don't know if this was a Photoshop job either, to be honest. I don't think it is.
It doesn't look it.
No, I don't think it is, actually.
Yeah, it is.
Is it?
Yeah, there was a new bike. Those are the Outrider bikes, right? So they
yeah.
photoshopped the
Two
Primaris
seconds.
bikes into an
Two
old
seconds.
picture.
Okay, yeah,
probably.
that one, because we're having the debate of whether it's 50-50 and also screwing over the audio listeners because we're looking at a picture. It is, I think that's fair enough. It's a good Photoshop job.
Yeah.
We'll move away from the Ravenwing a bit, though. Oh, sorry,
They're
carry
doing
on.
their best.
They're trying.
They're doing their best.
They're trying with what they've got.
Would be like.
But this article for the Deathwing came out today. So I've only had a very cursory glance over it. And the main title is Terminator's Secure Objectives.
It's the best wing.
It is the Deathwing. So, their first company, same kind of rule, is whether you have a Vanguard detachment with Deathwing and or Inner Circle, then you get the first company ability. Which means if your Warlord's in it, you get the +3 command points back. And anything that's a Terminator basically has, apart from Deathwing Knights, have OBSEC. So
Deathwing Knights launches shields and flails.
Yes.
Yeah.
They're the super special ones, but just your
the
normal
coolest
Deathwing
unit
Terminators,
Dark Angels have.
these schmucks do. Batman doesn't. They do. But one extra bonus that they have here is in order to actually add a unit to the Deathwing, you have to up the power, and you have to pay extra points. Instead of a stratagem to be able to do it, it is extra points now. Captain is 20 points. A Primaris Lieutenant with the Storm Shield from the Indomitus box, 15 points. Any Dreadnought, I'm assuming, 15 points. Land Raiders, 10 points. Repulsors, 10 points. Storm Raven gunships and transports that can transport unit that can transport Terminator models, 10 points. So instead of it kind of opens up a lot of your options, because Deathwing could obviously not have repulsors. They had to basically half and half with the normal one.
Why specify Land Raider if you're gonna have transport unit that can transport Terminator?
There are specific for there's a bigger drop pod, I think. Or
no, I mean is there Land Raiders that can't transport?
I think so. I don't know actually. That's something we have to check.
The,
oh no, Spartans.
The HQ choice, the Land Raider.
Oh yeah, but also technically a Spartan. If someone wanted to bring a Deathwing Spartan assault tank, because that's just it's just a big Land Raider, but it is a transport that can transport Terminator units. So they're just trying to cover their bases.
Mm-hmm.
It's
just nice. Yeah,
it's just for the best.
Yeah, and it's nice to see that it's similar to how they have the kill team upgrades for the Deathwatch. That it is just a point upgrade. You know, yes, you're paying a little bit extra, but it gives you a lot more flexibility. And being able to just take a repulsor, you know, with your Blade Guard veteran in it, yeah, that makes sense. And that means you could, you know, you've got a Deathwing fucking repulsor around, which is kind of scary. But they haven't shown off their doctrine here, though. They've just made mention of this in the Rites of Initiation. But they will, if anyone obviously anyone upgraded with these, does get the Inner Circle or Deathwing keyword, which means they get whatever their super doctrine is.
I assume it's going to be quite good, considering you're paying for it. Points.
You would hope.
I mean, the whole point of it is that you can be included in this Deathwing army and get all the bonuses from that as well.
Yeah, so which is actually quite nice. I think we're going to see a lot more of that, of just, you know, instead of really barring you off, you just pay a little bit of extra points, but then you actually be able to get the benefit, because sometimes, unless they actually was a very specific reason, you couldn't take, if there was a very, very specific reason that you couldn't take a repulsor and make it Deathwing, that would be fair, but they're actually well, they probably can, because of these reasons. We'll just make it a points upgrade and go from there, and then everyone's happy and everyone gets the benefit. So we're going to see, which I'm looking forward to seeing, more varied Deathwing armies, because instead of just having Terminator spam mixed with a supporting force of normal Dark Angels, you could probably have an entire Deathwing force with vehicles, with dreadnoughts, and just appear around the board and cause chaos. And I think that's going to be super cool.
And more importantly, Blade Guard veterans.
Oh yeah, because they're still pretty nuts.
That's so cool.
And they do
Fully
give the
with it.
benefit.
If you go
sorry,
back up to what has the Deathwing rolls, it doesn't include impulses, I'm pretty sure, which sucks.
Blade Guard can't get in impulses, can they?
Yeah, they can.
Can they? Oh, okay.
Yeah,
They
it's just Dragon
can.
Flight can't.
Yeah.
But I don't see the point. Am I thinking of the right one?
Okay, so yes, you can't charge out of them, but you can just plonk them on an objective and go, I'm not coming off this.
True.
Yeah. But no,
Just the
I
main
actually, yeah, that is a fair point, that the Impulsor is missing from this list, and I feel like it shouldn't be.
I think it's mostly because it's meant to be a Phobos thing, because, I mean, yeah, it's the Phobos that...
Oh
actually
yeah, like,
drives it.
technically, how often are you going to have Blade Guard veterans sitting inside one of those? In the lore's
Yeah.
perspective, you're probably not going to have it very often.
No.
It's like the same reason a rhino's not.
At the end of the day, you can put them in. You can put them in the repulsor, but the conventional repulsor makes more sense. So, it's a niche thing you're asking for at that point.
Yeah. And especially because, obviously, speaking of the Blade Guard veterans, that they gain... Oh no, this part won't matter to the Blade Guard veterans, but it matters to pretty much any other Deathwing unit that it does a lot of shooting. 1 CP for Deathwing Assault. Use the stratagem in your shooting phase when a Deathwing unit is selected to shoot. Each time a model in that unit makes a ranged attack, if it was set up on the battlefield this turn as a result of the Teleport Homer or Teleport Strike, add 1 to the attack's wound roll. That is quite
pretty
scary.
nice.
That is
That's
quite
really good.
scary.
Plus one to
What-
wounds is nuts.
What ranged weapons can have you on a nice Deathwing unit? That would be
Storm bolters,
Storm
plasma
bolters.
cannons,
Assault cannons?
Assault
missile-
cannons,
cyclone
yeah.
missile launchers,
The
assault
missiles.
Yeah, that's good.
Just quickly looking at just a normal Terminator squad.
+1 to wound with an assault cannon's nasty.
Yeah, and especially because it depends on how many of them you can take. Because you can probably take quite a few.
Also, the fact that when you take a cyclone missile launcher, you keep your storm bolter, it's just a nutty amount of shots at that point.
Cyclone missile launchers, assault cannons, heavy flamers.
I forget heavy flamers at 12-inch range.
Yeah, they're
Oh,
really
plus 1 to
strong,
wound with a heavy
Fl-
flame is
flamers, not
actually
heavy,
scary.
flamers.
It's
Thinking
so
about
weird
it.
to me that I've not properly been able to play 9th that flamers have 12-inch range now.
Yeah, it's one of those things that it's just been one way for so long, you don't expect it any other way.
I'm gonna have so
Also,
many
just that we
flamethrower
haven't
tests
played
for this.
since it changed.
That's true. But no, I think this is going to be... Because it's only 1 CP, we're going to be seeing those turn to key units in an army just exploding because the Deathwing Terminators have turned up.
Yeah.
And you can kit them... You can very much kit them in a very... very specific way. And also, once you've shot at them, if there's any left, you're in charging distance anyway, because you're just outside of 9. So you're charging what's left, which is a very Deathwing thing to do.
Getting in there. Crunching
And
bones.
speaking of because the Deathwing Knights aren't going to get left out of this, of course. We've got them. They're no
so
foe
good.
too great to subdue stratagem for 2 CP. Use the stratagem in the fight phase. When a Deathwing Knights unit from the army is chosen to fight, until the end of the phase, each time a model in that Deathwing Knights unit makes an attack with the Mace of Absolution, which I believe they can all take,
Except for the sergeant.
apart from the Sergeant, against an enemy vehicle or monster, add 1 to the attack's wound roll and AP.
So good.
There they are. Them boys with their their robes, big shields, and big ass maces. What are the
Yeah, so just
stats
for
on those
references-
maces?
The Thunderhammers.
Oh. So what? So strength 10 -3, flat 3 damage.
Yeah.
So they become strength 10 -4 with an extra attack. Well, and you'll +1. Well, sorry, not an extra attack. +1 to wound, which means you're wounding knights on 2s. Because fuck knights, am I right?
Times the strength 10.
I think the strength 8. I don't think the strength 10.
It depends on. It depends on.
The times 2.
Oh right, I think Terminators are strength. Yes, Terminators are strength 4, aren't they?
Yeah.
Yeah, unless the knights are suddenly strength 5 for whatever reason, which In all honesty, they could be, and I wouldn't know because I wouldn't have had any time to care. But okay, so you're strength 8. You're then wounding knights on 3s. You're wounding every other vehicle on 2s.
Yep.
And you're most likely you are making sure they get into combat because you can take these guys in squads of 10. And you've got Deathwing characters that can make these better. I know that exists.
Oh man.
This is probably going to be a new I would just be just a Deathwing Night Bomb. That's just what it is. Because that's the whole point of them. Carry on, George.
Also, as I was saying, these guys are so cool, and also I love the art that always shows the Deathwing because it's like, here's the Deathwing, and I'm just like, this image probably has all of the Deathwing in it
at the same time. Yeah.
What if they just lose? Deathwing gone.
Yeah, but they don't lose because they're Space Marines.
They're gonna get crimson fisted. They're just gonna get hit with a missile and explode.
Except that they're all Terminators, so they just teleport at the last minute, Star Trek style.
That's true.
Yeah.
Belial.
Zoom. But that is it for those 2 articles, and yeah, no, I think that these guys are going to be very, very spicy when they come out.
As somebody who played them in 7th edition, because I thought Deathwing were really cool, I'm sad that I don't play them now.
But there was no point in keeping those models because you honestly didn't know.
Those are some solid rolls.
I mean, annoyingly, because Evan was like, "Hey, I got some Deathwing Knights lying around if you want them." I'm like, "Don't you fucking dare! Don't you tempt me."
Whole 10.
Oh.
A whole 10?
Yeah, that's pretty much all you need, to be fair.
That's what, that's 500 points.
Yeah, that's a lot. That's a quarter of your army, but goddamn, it's worth it. I'm excited to see. I'm excited to see a bit more about how their actual doctrine works and how the normal Dark Angels will fit into this, especially because, as we know, they are, Interrogator Chaplains and Plasma are the 2 main things that come out of the Dark Angels. I don't think I missed an article though, did I? Was there one extra? No, there wasn't.
I think it was just those 2. The other ones were Age of Sigmar stuff this week.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, like a non-character Lumineth one.
Yeah, but I'm looking forward to seeing how they unfold, because just having that amount of plasma stuff is cool, and they're the only army that can really take Hellblasters, and they actually be a good idea. So
the assault ones are pretty good at the moment.
But they're gonna at least give you like a huge boost to that before, like with now they're gonna actually give you options for that, which is gonna be really interesting. Plus, then seeing how some of the characters interact and their actual what their main super doctrine benefit is, we'll see. But we will end up having a review of that codex after the Saturday it actually comes out, because we GW don't know who we are yet, so we can't get a review copy. But that's fine, because we'll one day, I'll probably at some point have access to a Dark Angels army and we'll just play it. And if anything, it's just a cool book. So
it is a cool one.
Yeah. Speaking of cool stuff, let's talk about you, George.
Me?
Yeah. Because
what have I done?
What's your favorite color, Joe?
Probably what color paint?
No,
apparently it'd be blue.
We've got 2 Johns now.
Yeah,
I'm way off there. I'm in the wrong place.
Yeah, because this is what happens if you don't turn up on time.
Get his ass.
Get his ass.
Sorry.
I mean, it's understandable. You're probably doing a thing like that was actually important. So
I was. My D&D had to start late, so we finished.
That's
late.
very important.
That's fair.
I feel that.
Mine ran until 11:30 yesterday.
Yeah, I guess that much.
Whoops. What?
Bear with me. But I think because I think a point was made that a good idea for us is to spend a little bit of time actually kind of introducing ourselves properly. because we've been doing this podcast for 5 weeks now, a little bit more, and no one really has any idea of who we are, and we've never talked about it. We've just kind of said we're on the internet and we like models.
Oh,
I mean, it depends on what you mean by who we are, because I'm certainly not a fan of the everyone go around the classroom and tell us your name, where you're from, and one interesting thing about yourself, because that I find that
That's cringe. That's mad cringe.
yeah.
What's your mother's maiden name?
What's your bank account details?
What are your personality traits, bonds, and flaws?
Do a D&D
What's your
style.
sign?
But to be fair, I think it's one of those things that will come up over time of just our personalities will shine through anyway. But I think because there was a point that was mentioned, and I thought maybe we should try. But no, you might be right. It's probably a bit cringe.
I think I think it's we don't necessarily need to bring in who we are currently or who we have been. We're just gonna be ourselves, and
Or who
that
were
in
you?
itself will create a personality.
That's the main question: is who were you?
Essentially, we all play Warhammer.
Yeah,
Well, back
essentially.
when I was Steven, no,
Back where I was
It's worth-
him.
I think it's worth being like,
We don't talk
what
about him.
armies we
though.
got, what we do.
I mean,
what we
yeah,
think.
that's true. I mean, because we're gonna talk about that a bit anyway. Because one thing I wanted to try and do, as I mentioned it on the Tuesday stream, on the hobby stream, and we were talking about on Tuesday, that I am going to try and find more 3D printing projects that we can all take part in, and just see what we do with the paints that we have. Maybe use it as an excuse to try different styles, and just do a thing talking about 3D printing, because I like 3D printing. With the two styles there are, resin printing is something I definitely more prefer. It's a little bit more messy, but it's surprisingly a lot easier to get into, because you just get the machine. You do the most basic leveling of just making sure that your print head is flat, and that's it. You just fill the tub up with resin, find a nice model that you like for your D&D character on either Hero Forge, Patreon, or My Mini Factory, shove that USB stick in there, and then off it goes. And you can get some, like, I printed a couple things already, because I printed John's from when we did a Starfinder campaign back in the day. I printed off his character Chip Stibbins, the fast-talking mouse gunslinger, but his arm fell off. So I will print him another one, because when it's like super spindly bits, they're not that it's not that strong. But also,
honestly, it's pretty strong. That was just on me. I threw him across the room
yeah, like
by
a
accident.
obviously then printed John's partner's Julakesh.
Mhm.
Obviously the very flamboyant horny lizard.
Very good. It was very. Honestly, it's a great model as well.
Oh, it's a really cool model, and love how it was designed, and then kind of just try and find more things that I'd want to print as well. A lot of people end up using 3D printing to print terrain. If you can get a 3D printer that does things like which is FDM, or which uses filament-based rolls of spools of plastic that are melted and then printed upwards and through via layer and layer, up to, and you can just make large things that don't. If you did it in the same way in resin, it would take quite a lot of time and money to do so.
How does the resin one work then, if not?
So yeah, the two types being FDM, which is, as I mentioned, the plastic one. Resin uses a vat of resin, and it shoots a UV light underneath. So the resin tank is in the middle, basically, of the system. The printing bed, goes down into the vat, and every layer is just exposed through like a lot of high intensity UV lights,
Right.
which cures the resin on every layer. So as the print head will go up, down, and then it will flash again, up, down, flash again, up, down, and then you'll layer it over time, which allows you, due to the screens that how the light comes through, which are at this point they're just phones. They're like the same screens you get if you needed to replace your phone screen. But those phone screens are getting such higher and higher resolution, so are these 3D printers. So you can get my one that I've got downstairs, which is the Elegoo Mars Pro 2, which was about, when I got it, was about 300 quid on Amazon, which is actually, for a entry-level resin printer, is really cheap. They are getting cheaper. I got mine, actually no, I think it was about 250. Yes, it was 250 because that's why I spent the extra money that would have made it full price on a cleaning and curing machine for it, which is made by the same brand. But you can get a full 3D printing kind of suite ready, or even just the printer and some resin, for roundabout, at this point now, as I've been seeing the prices, around £200, maybe less. And resin is not that expensive. You pay about 25 quid. You get a relatively good, like, 2 litre of resin. You're only using a little bit of resin at the time, and you are, after your print, because you're not using the whole thing, you just filter it back into the bottle, and then you can use it again later. And you can get some really high quality prints with that. So what I'm going to do is, there is a company called Anvil Industries, I think it is, who make a lot of bits and additionals and custom models for use in a lot of war games, but they do have a large selection of Guardsman minis and Guardsman bits for 40k. They released what looked to be a Titanfall kit bash with a Sentinel, is the best way I can describe it, because instead of it being, it's a walker with a chassis, but it has 2 arms holding a gun instead of no arms and an undermounted, like, las cannon. And it was $9 for the Patreon.
Yeah, anvilindustry.co.uk.
Yeah. It was $9 for the Patreon to get it, and then they're going to be adding more versions of, like, the different heads you can get and everything, and the different pieces of armor and, like, shoulder-mounted missiles they said they were going to add as well. And I've got the access to the files now, so I could just print that as many times as I wanted. And that's the thing, is that you can find, obviously, but depending on the game, there is sometimes manufacturers involved where you may not be able to use these bits. So, for example, 3D printing stuff for your Games Workshop minis will mean that you cannot use that model in a Games Workshop event.
I mean, true, but also with some of the games, like Blood Bowl, they don't care, I don't think, as much, because you literally can't get a lot of the minis.
Yeah, I think it depends on how seriously the competitive scene is taken.
I think it's pretty much just 40k and Sigmar, to be honest.
Yeah, I think with Blood Bowl, they don't care, because there's a whole thing of it. It's literally just a case of, I mean, obviously this might change in the future because of new Blood Bowl, but it's very much a case of, if they went, you can't use those, everyone would go, cool, we're gonna go play somewhere else now, because, you know, like, that's just how it is. There's so much third-party Blood Bowl stuff, like,
it's great, and it's
having a 3D printer
for
Blood Bowl is just amazing.
It just kind of shows as well that, I think with the age of kind of 3D printers coming into the hobby, and more third-party companies who have been making bits for a while are then seeing this technology and like, this actually then could actually run, like, keep our costs down, because obviously once you bought that file, if you are caught, you know, trying to sell off the bits for that, then they'll just dob you in, because that is breaking the free use license on that on the thing that you've bought. It's a personal use, like it's when you do things over personal commercial use. So I could not take that new Anvil mech looking thing, make loads of them and sell the bits off, because if they found out, then they could sue me. But it also means that, at least for companies like that, who are extremely talented with a lot of the bits that they end up making, and with a lot of these printers being, one, very cheap to get into in reality for a hobby like this, and a lot more designers are entering the space as well, because they don't need to worry about molding and casting minis. They can more just model something, put it into Cheetu box or whatever, like, 3D printing program, and print it. We're actually going to get a larger variety. And yeah, it's a fair point, because, you know, Blood Bowl minis, some of them don't exist. There's a lot of war games that exist that don't have minis at all, that just say, use whatever minis you want, this is how my game works. And it's entirely up to the person at that point. So putting that power into the consumer's hands sometimes can reduce running costs, But on the flip side of that can make things difficult. Because no, I've seen a lot of these 3D printing things coming out. They haven't... This one thing from Anvil is the one thing that I've seen that's closest to anything that can match GW.
Guess.
Hmm.
Can I ask, Fizzy, take a breath. You've obviously
I have
extremely
no drink
passionate
left.
about this.
Most
But yeah, I think with the whole 3D printing thing, as you said, it opens up so many possibilities for other games and for kit bashing. I think the idea that you had recently of giving us all a similar model to kit bash in alternate ways, I'm super excited for. I'd love to do that.
It's going to be a cool video, because I'm going to turn it into an actual, like, descriptor about talking about 3D printing, so...
Yeah.
This is just the preview to that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh no.
But I was going to ask, are we... Because I know the first few times that we did this, you wanted us to bring little subjects to talk about. I was going to ask, just because I've been thinking about this recently, with the new Drakari Codex coming out soon, I guess this kind of goes for all Xenos codexes as they come out. What are changes that people want to see to make armies fluffier?
Oh,
That's
That's a fact. That's a fact.
Units in
So-
detachment.
Craft Build Elder, right? This is what I want to do for Craft Build Elder. I want them to get the old codex. I want them to throw it in the fucking bin and burn it, because it's boring
Good
as shit.
start. Good
Like, don't get me
start.
wrong,
Completely
Craft Build
selfish.
Elder are strong. Are they interesting? Fuck no. They've got, we can run and shoot with weapons, and when we fight Sinesh, we get a bit sad and a bit angry. Though that's their 2 faction rules. That is it.
Nice. Love it.
Then they have strong guns. That's Elder. And then all of the aspect warriors are just boring as shit for the most part, and they just need to build it from the fucking ground up. Like, battle focus, it's just bad. They did bin it. Like, it's just weird. Like, in the fluff, battle focus isn't just we go fast. It's like an entire trend the entire fucking military goes into. They're stupidly strong. They need stuff to reflect that, not we're fast, and then just we can run and shoot with assault weapons and stuff fine, but heavy. Ooh, no, it's just like, it just sucks.
But heavy, though.
Yeah, I think their codex now, I mean, always has kind of, but definitely just feels like, hey, we've got different equipment and some abilities of what Space Marines get. Not all of them.
I guess they don't
Yeah.
feel like Space Marines because they're squishy, right? But
Oh,
it's
no,
just
no,
a case
of course.
of
But, like,
they're
yeah,
just boring.
Yeah, but like none of their abilities feel unique to them. It's just some of the abilities that Space Marines have.
Which is painful because in 7th edition, all the aspect warrior units were so interesting because they had like fucking 3 abilities each. Like a fire dragon unit had the ability to one-shot tanks easily, consistently, and that was their whole thing. Now,
That's so scary.
now they reroll wounds of 1. I don't know, something tiny. That's just like, okay.
Essentially, fire dragons would need like reroll hits and wounds against tanks, reroll damage against tanks, and have +3 damage against tanks, and they would be as good as they were like last time, right?
Yeah.
That's the kind of level they were at before.
They lost a lot of the fluffy feel
They-
of being okay against everything else, but tanks, they were just like, time to fucking go. I'm in half range of a tank. I'm going to remove it from existence. It was great fun.
If you compare them to like every other heavy weapons squad that's come out in the last
Since.
year.
Yep.
So that would be Retributors, Havocs, and Devastators. So Havocs are what? Toughness 5 and can move and shoot with heavy weapons. And they've got like a special weapon that nobody else can have. Retributors, which are Sisters of Battle, can move and shoot with heavy weapons. They gain +6 inches on flamers. No. Yeah, +6 inches on flamers. No, +3 inches on flamers. 3. And they've got a stratagem that lets them, depending on the weapon that they're using, get a buff, and the one for melters is plus 12-inch range, plus 2 damage, I think.
Probably.
It's something dumb. It's something really dumb. So you can literally move 6 inches with them and have 36-inch range melter shots or 15-inch range heavy flamers. Like, it's mad.
Yeah. So
And you got Devastators can do the same now. I think move and shoot, right?
and then oh, that's not move and shoot. But yeah, then your fire dragons, which have a 7-inch move. They hit on 3s. They have they have melters that are worse than everyone else's melters because they're called fusion guns and didn't get the buff. I'm pretty sure.
And only one shot.
They're one shot because they're not multi melters. They're 12-inch range. And it's like, yeah, they can advance and shoot because they're assault weapons with no penalty, which is something almost every army can have access to now. And they reroll once against vehicles and monsters to wound, and that's it. They're just it's so bad.
They've been so dumbed down in reality.
But I don't think it's necessarily I don't really think I'm asking in terms of buffs, although you definitely answered my question to begin with.
Well, it's not necessarily like it's not annoying because they're bad, I guess. It's more annoying that they don't even feel like
they're not interesting. As you said,
they don't feel fluffy.
They're boring.
Yeah,
interesting is a hard category to try and get into though, and I think definitely one armies that's gonna struggle with that is Tyranids.
Yeah, Tyranids
boring. Yeah,
it's stacked against them real hard right now.
Because I was gonna say with just on the Eldar one with Craftworld aspect hosts, you could easily just, as long as you make every single aspect completely busted, but like point them accordingly, they're gonna be worth taking. Well, and then you've got Tyranids. Tyranids have got just sort of, the whole point is that they sort of adapt to different roles, but they just end up having different levels of how much acid they're throwing at you.
But I think, well, this is what I'm saying. I think that needs to change. I think so that different, I guess, genuses,
the hive worlds,
different routes depending on which way they've come in from.
Yeah,
hive worlds, hive fleets,
have completely different mutations.
I would love to see, say, if you took a certain hive fleet, all of your guns had this special rule.
Like if they were all had poison or something like that.
Yeah. I think there is like one of the hive fleets gets poisoned like blades. It's like reroll ones with scything talons or something like that.
Yeah.
Gorgon just get reroll ones to wound in combat.
That's the one. But like if it was a case of Hormagaunts could reroll all wounds. Or something stupid like that. You take Hormagaunts then.
Well, there's a stratagem that is reroll. Oh no, it's not. Sorry, it's
exploding sixes.
But yeah, so just things that give like big buffs to specific styles of units.
Yeah,
I think are definitely
because it kind of fits along what GW have already started to do, which is they're trying to make these codexes that they're releasing give everyone as many options as possible. So it's just having options that are, one, balanced against each other in terms of viability, also then linking to having hive fleets or your sub-factions that have that slight addition or something extra, and then something in reality to try and compete with like the super doctrine of some sort, I think is a key thing, because we saw with the Necrons, they had you get to kind of like choose a mode or something.
Yeah, you choose 5 out of 6 protocols at the start of the game, and they activate in certain order per turn.
See, something like that for a Tyranid hive fleet, because based off of what the hive mind is wanting to do, or like specifically the first turn, the drones, like they get like the Hormagaunts get the drone keyword and they get like +3 to their movement. But then, like, later on, when you're deploying and birthing the big boys, they all get buffs later on, and it's like, it's that kind of dynamic. Maybe it is like an
I think I know how they fix Tyranids, though. I think
Lay it on
they
us.
need to fix how summoning works in 40k and give Tyranids the ability to just keep bringing shit on the board.
Yeah.
When a Gaunt unit dies,
Make Gaunts great.
they should just fucking replace that shit. Like
Mm.
something like that. Like in Sigma, there's like a lot of the fully crazy horde armies.
Gets to.
That's literally gonna say the big horde armies, right? The big ones, the clan Molder, the Gloomspite Kids and all that. They have ways of just being like, oh, you killed a unit of 40 rats or 40 goblins. Cool, they are back now, and it doesn't even cost me anything. Whereas Tyranids, if you want to use the fucking thing that adds things to Gaunts back,
Mhm.
it costs you points.
They've
They used to do this.
Cannons.
They also did this in. They had this in 7th edition, and they were fucking annoying to fight.
Mm. I mean, to be fair, one of the only armies that has
but it
that
was
kind
good.
of rule
It
in
was
40k, just side point of one of the only armies that has that in 40k is Orcs with Stem the Green Tide, and it's 3 CP to do that. Yes, you get to completely just reappear behind your opponent in their deployment zone with
Yeah, but the
30
thing is-
boys.
Orc boys are scary. Gaunts
Yeah, no,
are
it's sort of-
useless.
Yeah,
And
a
that's
squad
the
of 20
problem.
boys can destroy pretty much anything you throw them into. You can't do that with Gaunts.
Not necessarily with Gaunts, but yeah, it's the same kind of thing of like just as a compare and contrast that one army has something like that, but an army where you think that would make more sense doesn't. But
Yeah,
no, that
exactly.
might not be a bad idea. It's just fixing how spawning they'll probably call it or something
Well,
like
I
that.
think
fair,
as we were
Gaunts
saying
aren't
with
there
terms
to
of,
kill
like-
things. Gaunts
No.
are
Yes.
there to get in the way.
Yeah, so
And
let them
then-
get in the way more by having them come back, right?
Yeah,
Hmm.
I don't think they should be kill leaks. They shouldn't be. They're not law-wise. They're not kill leak. They stand in the way. You shoot them. You go to reload your gun, and then a Carnifex jumps over a rhino and
Yeah.
steps on you.
That's the thing. That's why I don't
the
want
way
them to make
around
them
it.
stronger. I just want them to make them endless.
Yeah.
Because that's what Tyranids are, right? It's a fucking terrifying endless horde of just biomutants.
Yeah,
Yeah,
They're
could you imagine
insane.
if they made them so damage carried over when you shot at them, but they just come back next turn?
Jesus.
That would be fucking
That's
hilarious.
Like they
kinda funny.
they keep coming on from your board edge.
But they're
So, like-
always there.
It would make it a real pain in the ass to take the
I
deep
genuinely think-
objectives.
I genuinely think it would be a good idea to have them, as you said, whenever they spawn from your board edge, and that way you could have, let's say, a warlord with a certain fleet. His special ability is that instead of them coming back from the board edge, they come back from this queen instead.
Yeah, because
Or, like,
there is the
it's
whole.
like
There
a
is the
fluffy
one.
Even just like 6 inches in from the board edge,
What's
right? Or
what's
just
the
like
spawner called? That like big fucker that births the
Swarmlord?
whole.
It's Stormlord.
Oh,
No,
or
the one that
uh,
births the
the
the Hormigons. Yeah, have a
Termagant.
Termagant, which you can make a warlord actually.
Yeah.
That would be a great warlord trait for them because it comes out of them, and it is
Yeah.
they kind of have that ability anyway, but just jack that up.
They do, yeah.
And like Evan, I
Yeah.
think I want to know what your opinion is on this kind of. What would you do to a Xenos army to really fuck with it? Because obviously we know your opinions on chaos. We know what you need to do with chaos. But Xenos is always a weird one because it's each army is trying to be as different as all of the Imperium and all of Chaos.
That's the thing with Xenos factions is like Space Marines, they're boring. But Xenos factions, they want to make them interesting, but by making them interesting, they go, these rules are interesting, but are they good?
Mm.
Mostly the answer is no. I mean, look at Gene Stealer Cult. They're in such a position now where you basically can't play them. Same thing with Drakari. You can't play them at all.
And Tau.
Unless you're just... Oh, Tau, yeah, Tau's a different thing entirely.
That's how even interesting. Like, come on,
No.
they're fucking bad.
It's
Yeah,
just
Tau
it's
needs to
just
be
bl- it's
interesting as
just
well. Anyway,
blue
carry on.
blue Imperial Guard like.
It's one of those things where they just need new books. Like we just need to wait, and eventually
Yeah.
they will be good. I mean, look at the books you've seen so far. Yes, they're all everything's in power armor currently, so it's all basically the same thing.
Yeah.
Necrons was good though, right? That's the thing.
Yes,
Necrons
it
was
Necrons
impressive.
Necrons are like one of the best armies at the moment, which
And they were awful.
feels nice to say.
They were completely
Considering
awful.
they went from nobody wants to play against them in 7th to not that good of an army.
So nobody wants to play them.
Still wants to play against them again is refreshing.
Mm.
I mean, they were so bad that it literally pushed one of our friends out of the hobby for an entire edition.
Which friend is this?
Yep.
Elliot.
Elliot.
He
Oh,
only had
right,
red
yeah.
guns. And he was like, I don't want to play them because they're that bad. So he just didn't play 40k for all of 8.
It was still fun.
That was like 4 or 5 years as
Yeah.
well.
I mean, I kind of started just playing more Sigma anyway because I just think I prefer it.
Yeah.
But I guess
Because like the thing is as
I get
well,
it.
so we're gonna the Drukari book I think is gonna be that kind of. This is setting up.
We'll see.
If like depending on how that book goes, is kind of setting up the bar. Because I think we talked about this before, saying that the Necron book, it's hard to compare against the Necron book because it had to be good because they got
And
a
it had so
arseload
much
of
new
units at
Yeah.
their as soon as they released for the new edition. Drukari
on that-
are getting what? They're getting one new character.
no, they're getting
No.
a new model for a pre-existing character.
On that note of the Drukari book coming out, in terms of a fluffy change that we'd want to see to them, like how they play, I would love if they had some sort of rule. I guess it would be a secondary objective, to do with prisoners.
Yeah.
Oh.
Because their whole thing, the point that they ever attack anywhere, is it's a raiding party.
Yep.
Mm.
Yeah, 100%.
So I know that they're restructuring the way they work as a whole.
It
So-
fits the raiding party thing more as well.
Yeah,
That's the whole
so-
point of the restructure.
Instead of being, it's a really awkward thing, we take like a patrol and a patrol and a patrol and hang on a minute.
You take 3 patrols and you get
It's
like an
garbage.
arseload of command points back, or something like that.
Yeah, but it doesn't really work.
But you have nothing but witches and stuff in the fucking garbage.
Yeah, you're like,
Yeah.
oh, I've got 5 Cabalites, 5 witches, and
Witches need to be
5
good
red.
in the new book. If they aren't good, they have fucked up.
First of all, with witches, GW need to realize that they're bad because every Drukari article has been like, "Wow, witches are such a poor unit. They're brilliant." It's like, no, they're not. They're toughness 3. They have a 6-up invuln against shooting. Yes, it goes to a 4-up if they get into combat, which they don't.
Sounds like Admech.
They don't.
It sounds like
So
it
they've
sounds like
also
just a
got-
guard. It sounds like Admech infantry. It's like, oh, we are toughness 3 with a 6-up invuln save.
You've
Yeah, but
either got
Admech infantry have fantastic guns.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
That's the
Admech
upside.
have guns.
witches literally have knives, and they're either a 5-man squad, which do literally nothing, but they can go in a venom, a 10-man squad, which again is no man's land of, hey, we've got like 30 attacks at strength 3 with no AP, you're just going to shrug all the wounds
Look at all
off,
this
or
strength
then
3
you have
I
a
have.
20-man, which can't get in a transport, and just gets shot by bolters, because that's all you need to kill them.
Mm.
Yeah.
20 of
So,
those
like,
coming out of a Ravager.
I
would be
think it was
pretty
when
fun,
when Sisters came out. I think it was, which was obviously also after the Psychic Awakening or Eldar.
though. Yeah.
I remember being so fucking frustrated with GW. Like, clearly you know how to do these things, you're just not doing them. When it was like, Howling Banshees are awful, right? They've always had the exact same problem for fucking years since like 6th edition,
Mhm.
when it's their job is that they ignore Overwatch and can kill Marines good because they have AP3 power swords, right?
Mhm.
Simple. Everyone understands that.
Everyone's
Cool.
agreed.
If everyone agrees that's the whole point of them, then the problem is they're always strength 3, which means that they can't wound Space Marines. They have barely any attacks, so they don't have enough attacks to make up for their low strength.
Mm.
Especially with 2 wounds.
And Space Marines are also strength 4 base, which means they get wounded on the 3, and they haven't got very good saves. Like, all of this is a mess, right?
Yeah.
And when they did Psychic Awakening, I was like, oh, maybe they'll sort this out. Absolute dog shit. All of the extra rules for bounties just are garbage. And then you get around to fucking
Sisters of Battle.
Sisters of Battle. Seraphim are like, oh, hello, Zephyrim, yeah. They're like, oh, hello, we've got jetpacks and a strong pistol, because you can have like loads of fucking shit. A power sword, we can reroll all of our wounds, and I'm pretty sure they have something else as well, and I'm just like, what
They
the
can-
fuck?
They can reroll charges, and they can use miracle dice to just, roll a 6 plus
Yeah,
whatever they want.
to be fair, Harley was doing
Not
plus the
okay,
charge,
sorry,
which is
that
just like,
Aren't they
dice.
doing a thing though? Because I
Amazing,
remember
but
they
it
made.
pissed me off.
Didn't they make like some sort of reference quite early to say, oh, the Drukari book is going to come out? I think it was during the reveal stream. They one of the reveal streams where they were saying, "Oh, look, here's a kind of a sneak peek at the one of the data sheets."
So what is what I was saying earlier before the witch rant.
That cat is mad.
So yeah, my cat is not upset
That's just
I
that's
mean, he's
just how.
upset with witches.
He's mad as well.
Yeah. So it was. They're going from the loads of different parties patrols
Yeah.
to a system where instead of being we're a witch coven and a second witch coven and a cabal and a homunculus coven, it's now we are a raiding party led by an archon. We're going on one. We're just going.
The lads
still,
are going on one.
They will still have rules from being specific witch covens and stuff, though.
Yes.
I'm pretty sure.
But there
Which
will
is still
be
good.
now a Dark Eldar army instead of 6 different groups that just do not work
Which
by
is all we
themselves
needed.
or together.
That's all we wanted. And plus, obviously, some slight changes to that. And I know because the Incubi they showed off, like, they actually have a really good stat line and a really good weapons now.
I think Incubi didn't really change. They just have been that good before. But the problem is...
Aren't they hitting on 3s now? No, they're hitting on 2s.
They hit on 2s now.
They hit on 2s
like
base.
There was definitely something.
It was
I remember
2 base
seeing,
and
I don't know
extra
what it was,
attacks.
but there was something that was quite tasty.
Yeah, they are hitting on 2s now. They used to be hitting on 3s.
Yeah, so, like... I think it's a good indication, and I'm really the thing is, annoyingly in this situation, that a lot of eyes are on that book, because whatever happens out of that book is really going to give away their entire game plan about how the rest of the armies are going to fall, in terms of specifically Xenos. Imperial Guard, you know, because they're in the middle of this as well, and Imperial Knights, who fucking knows what's going to happen to them?
Guards always get good books, they're fine.
Yeah. Gods have not had a bad book.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, we don't know what... We could probably just, like, ignore that, because... I mean, I'm not going to ignore it, because I want one, because I want the Tempestus stuff in it. However,
I think
it's going to
Tempestus
be...
should get more of an update and get their own supplement, though.
I mean, that would be sick.
That's what I'd like to see.
Yeah, but this is the thing, it's as well, it's like... It's... It really... Like, for Imperium, a lot of the stuff for the Imperium is that they've got such a strong base to go off of. Chaos needs a lot of work, and they know it needs a lot of work, and we can really hope for that. But with the Xenos being that weird outlier, like, case, which is weird because it's a third of the armies in the game. Like, your 3 factions of Imperium, Chaos, and Other, and your Other is supposed to be really diverse, but no one, like, basically, not many people touch them. It's... I really, really hope, I agree with all of you that I really hope that book is good. And when we look through it, it's like, right, we can see what they're planning with this. And also probably gives one of us a reason to get a Dark Eldar army.
Right, so what would you change about Tau?
Oh, God.
Markalites.
Markalites.
Put them in the bin.
Right, so again, this isn't to make them good. This is to make them
interesting. Markalites.
Fluffy.
Get rid of them.
Markalites are so janky.
Yeah.
They
but
need to be
make
fixed.
it so Crisis Suits actually hit on 3s because they're the veterans. And they're supposed to have better targeting like stuff in the suits.
Instead of having to buy a target uplink.
Oh my god, I hate it. I hate it so much.
Fire Warriors hitting on 4s. Crisis Suits hitting on 4s. Crisis Suit Commanders hitting on 2s.
So how math works.
Was the veteran bonus.
But George, you could spend command points.
I think it'd be cool if I remember the assault moves back in 7th. They were a bit much. Cool if instead of moving in the movement phase, you don't move, you shoot, and then you get to move. So it's basically fire and fade, but you don't get to move beforehand.
So you do it instead of shooting.
Yes.
Instead of shooting in the movement phase. No. So instead of shooting in the shooting phase, you move in the shooting phase, and you shoot in the movement phase.
No.
No, instead of moving, you stay still.
Yeah.
You then shoot in the shooting phase, and then you move.
Ah, right. I see what you mean.
An optional choice.
Because
that'd be cool.
That means you're not. That means you can't be in cover, pop out of cover, shoot, and then go back into cover. You are by cover, you shoot, and then you go.
Yeah, and then you get a strategy which is like you can use this ability even if you move in movement phase.
Yeah,
exactly. But at least you're just doing it to one unit then, not all of them.
I'd like to see a sort of super doctrine just if you're a Tau army, not like a certain section, just Tau in general, make Montcar and Kion that. Rather than I will do this thing one turn for things just about around a commander.
Oh yes,
have it be my entire philosophy. This game is going to be strike hard, strike fast. And
I don't think there's a single person who likes how Montcar and Kaon works. They are
I mean,
absolute dog
people
shit
with
built. Like the
Stockholm
way they work.
syndrome.
I hate it.
Communication devices exist.
Yeah,
Not Stockholm syndrome, which
especially
one
for
the one I'm
Tau.
thinking of?
They're
It's
a
not like
super
I'm like,
well
that
trained
man's making
army.
a speech, but I'm turning my Bluetooth headset off.
Yeah.
Oh, he's talking again.
I'm only going to give orders to these people within my line of sight.
Here's a bonus
Yeah.
as
And
well.
then-
Allow it for
just coming back
tanks.
to-
Their fucking
back to
vehicles
Marklights.
should get some extra shit like that because they're all
Yeah.
garbage, and it's really
Yeah.
sad because what's the whole thing
This is a
with Long Strike? The best tank commander in their entirety of their race, and then who's the Imperial Guard tank guy, the famous one, Pask, Knight Commander Pask, and them having shooting contests at each other and trying to be like as far away from possible and then still hitting them.
Yeah.
That does not translate at all.
No.
Because
Yeah, no,
Long
no.
Strike's rules are shit. All of the
They
Tau's
both hit on
vehicles that aren't battle suits and aren't riptides are god awful, and they should change it
I
because
hate
you can
that.
actually have a diverse.
Yeah.
When was the last time anyone took a piranha?
No, piranhas are actually good.
Are they?
Piranha's good now. Piranha's good now.
Oh
Yeah.
fuck! Never fuck my entire. All right, okay. What's the
I mean,
name? What's the name of the tank?
Hammerhead.
What's-
Hammerheads are bad.
Hammerheads.
Hammerheads is
What's the
bad.
name of the flyer?
But-
I don't even remember.
The flyers.
Tiger Shark.
Yeah.
The tiger shark.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The Hammerhead is good if you take the.
No one takes
special-
that.
The experimental weapon for it. There's a good experimental weapon for Hammerhead. Not on the
So-
railgun. The railgun's a joke. Then there's.
Apart from if you take
Yeah, the
broadsides.
coolest part of the model is the joke. You're right.
Yeah, but the broadside railgun's
Unfortunately, yeah.
absolutely banging.
The
They
guy
should
on
just
cannon.
that should just be a weapon option for them, and they should have that as an upgrade. Keep that. That was good. Because people
Yeah.
actually took the railguns on broadsides, and I love it because that's the cooler version of them. How many? I've noticed like it looks so stupid when they've got like 17 missile racks, and they're just kind of clumbering up the board like they're made of cardboard.
I just don't like the pose that they're
Oh,
in. If
they
they were like
suck!
fully stand, just like
Go.
Arms up. the
Look,
next
look.
in Matrix, just like you
Or
know,
like, look, forget about
Fire.
battle suits, right? Forget about them. All I care about with Tau is like if I can do Fish and Fury and have Devilfish with breaches work really nicely,
Like they should.
I'm happy.
Yeah.
That's all I want. That's all I want. Like, it would be fun. And like, again with Markalites, the Markalites are so stupid because it's like, Markalites are a tax that you pay, but you have to pay points for it.
Mm-hmm.
You have to pay points to have dudes that only job is to go, I hit, cool, there's a little Markalite on that person. Now you can get reroll ones like every other army has.
yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Except every other army
it's like
just has to stand next to a dude.
or
It's
or
like,
get an
oh.
order or like something.
And if you get 5 hits with Markalites, then you get to hit on 3s. What a
Mark
joke!
Knight on average hit on
Threes? Like
Yes.
it's like
a joke.
wow, fucking.
Two Markalites making you hit on 3s wouldn't be busted.
It's
That would
like
be
the
fine.
It's like a
Yeah.
boomer trying to like say about like us like, oh, you really want that new iPhone? Well, how about this piece of wood? I had so much fun with this piece of wood. What do you think? Like that's
Here's
what
the
it
thing with
feels like.
Markalites.
It's like, you hit on 3s? Yeah?
So,
It's like, yeah,
a
but
captain,
Dad, everyone
right?
else got an Xbox and I only just got a Super Nintendo. Can you fuck off now? Like, it feels they're so far behind, which is weird for the youngest army in the game.
So, hot take, I want the Tau to have an ability once per game to just do all the shooting that they want to in the psychic phase and then the shooting phase. Just fucking double it up for a turn.
Once per game, every Tau unit can shoot at every unit they can see. There we go. That's not busted.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, I just want to point out John's just crazy stare when he just says, like, let them double it. Like,
Yeah.
No,
this man is serious.
Yes, the Tau ability to simply win the game with the first turn.
Yeah, fuck
I mean,
yeah.
Tau aren't gonna do anything in the fucking psychic phase. They may as well just shoot the. It's like
No,
it's the whole
I-
thing in anime of like, why would I let them power up? I may as well just shoot them with my gun.
That's the thing with Tau though, right? Because they don't have a psychic phase, right?
Yeah.
They don't have a combat phase.
No.
And you would think, all right, cool. That's because they have the best shooting phase in the game, but they just don't.
But
They're
they
not even
don't.
close.
Man,
They're
That's
not
Tau
even
close
close.
combat
So let them do
units.
some shooting in the psychic phase.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let them do something, or at least
Give Tau melee units.
yeah.
Honestly,
Make
give us
crew
crisis suits
worth it.
on a
Dude,
Dragoon.
so some guy, I'm gonna see if I can find this. He did a mock-up thing. It's two
Is it the
things, but it was to do
Vespers?
Farsight Enclaves, and
Oh, okay.
one of them was melee fire warriors, and the other one was like weirder because it was like Tau Space Marines. The melee fire warriors.
It's a cool idea, and
Let's
it's a
do
very
the other
Farsight thing because
Oh, dude,
one
if...
of the like they all like Farsight doesn't he have an Onager gauntlet on him? He has the sword
No,
as
he's
well.
got- He's got a sword and a shield.
Yeah, who has the
one of
Onager
the-
gauntlet? It's one of the eight has it. Yeah.
One of
Yeah,
those.
one of the has it. And then he's got a bunch of other stuff. But the
And
Onager
yeah,
Gauntlet
I
sucks
completely agree. Tau battle suits should have melee options because there's so much art of them in melee doing stuff, but they don't have any rules for it. Breaches could have like fucking combat knives or something. Just
The other
Crute are a
They're
dedicated
good.
reality melee unit, but no one takes them because they're garbage.
Look, just make Crypt their own army. Sorted.
I don't think there's enough. I don't think there's enough Crute
Not
to
yet.
make their own army, but
Not yet.
I understand
thing
not
is
yet, but being able to take
you
them in
can-
the Tau Force of having their sharp sticks with fucking like weird
Found 'em.
like super metal in the end
Their
of
sharp
them,
sticks
stabbing into a
right
space
in-
marine.
whole rifles.
All right, that's what I was thinking of. These
Those are
guys
cool as fuck.
are the coolest thing ever. I would get a full army of these. They
Actually,
are
so that brings up another point.
so cool.
Tau have always had this
Hang on, I'm
very
getting them into view. Give me a sec.
Japanese-esque feel to them,
There they
Yeah.
are.
and so going
Mozart
down
at
a
the
bit
bottom
more
right.
of the sort of samurai route with it would be so
lean
awesome.
so hard into that
Oh,
Yeah.
I'd buy these in a heartbeat.
because they have
Absolutely.
they've done it with what's his fucking name? Pure Tide. He's just Sun Tzu, and you've got Pure Tide, and then you've got the two opposing like philosophies of war in Shadow Sun and Farsight.
Yeah.
And if you just had Shadow Sun be like, no, I'm just gonna do ambush stuff, and then Farsight just really lead into that. My guys have swords. Screw you.
I
That'd be
would
so
totally
cool.
buy this in a fucking heartbeat. Like,
Yeah,
it's
exactly
so
right.
cool. Like it seems like the aesthetic that they're going
if it's-
for would have
Because
that.
all of the pieces used in this are things that exist.
Mm.
So like I think they have jump packs maybe, or what look like jump packs, but those are like smaller of the cold star things. The shields are 100% just the shields that the like
You can
Farsight
make
stuff
that off.
has,
You can
with
make
an
that at the
underslung
top of a
gun,
drone.
which Farsight also has. It just fits, and I love them.
Yeah, you make that out of the top of a drone. You stick like the pulse carbine on the bottom of it, and then you give them.
So-
Oh,
some-
it's easy to kit bash. I
Yeah,
guess.
like
Yeah. That right there. That's like a Tau with a power sword with a 5 Binvan, right?
yeah,
And a pistol.
yeah, and that's a new dedicated melee unit, and it would be
Yeah,
something.
you make it a fast attack, and
Yeah.
have a stratagem
Yeah,
where they
yeah, because
can
your troops would be like that's it. Genuinely, because I want again Fish and Fury, reach your boys, and then with these go mixed in there. Oh god, it's a dream. It's a dream.
I like
These
our
would be
option.
the-
Yeah, sorry, Karen.
You'd have Pathfinders, which are advanced fire warriors essentially,
Yeah.
and then you've got breaches, and you have these guys, which are advanced breaches.
Mm.
They're there ready to chop some boys up, and then the breaches come in the second wave after these guys have been like dead.
Here's what I want to point out as well: that the answer to how to make Tau interesting is just this image.
Yeah.
Am I wrong?
Well, the thing is, I think weirdly the sort of summary that we can come up with is we've all kind of said lean into what the Tau are,
Yeah.
Imagine actually using your lore to write rules,
right? Just
which
like-
is then now they're starting to do, and it's
Yeah,
great.
yeah. That's
So
the thing,
hopefully
right?
that's
They
a
made
good sign.
Death Watch fucking interesting. It's
They gave crit
amazing.
attack abilities.
Yeah.
They put
It's
the crit
anything's
attack
possible at
to
this
fight.
point. Or they're gonna make these and make you buy a 90-bound kill team box just to get the fuckers.
Mhm.
Imagine that,
I mean-
because that's also very possible.
I would at that point.
I'd cry, but yeah.
I take the Marines from that box.
I think. I mean, I don't know what else we can really add because it's just us ranting about. It's just a wish list of just stuff we want, and there's a lot of stuff I want.
Would you?
Kind of the point.
I'm
though.
kind of just
Yeah.
disadvantaged with 40k at the moment. I just need the Xenos, you know.
Yeah, you kind of need your army to get talked about and to be shown off. Like, if it wasn't Drukhari and it was Craft Worlds and they were actually showing off some really interesting stuff, you'd be all in it. Or even
Lumineth
chaos stuff
has
with
just taken then that takes Craftworld's position in my brain there.
Yeah, and then obviously, like, Chaos Marines, the Death Guard was a really good start in terms of, like, for example, getting rid of Death to the False Emperor, embedding a lot of the abilities into the actual data sheets or into the stat lines of the Plague Marines.
That's all we need.
Should probably translate across so that Chaos are more of a balanced force, because Chaos being good at only fighting Imperium and no one else, where Chaos always fuck with everybody, seems odd to me.
Yeah,
So I'm looking forward to that being a change. And as we've seen, the Death Guard one is the kind of the hand of the reveal to an extent of what we can expect and also what we can speculate from, because Thousand Suns are going to be very fluffy, and their Psychic Awakening book was really good. This is just going to be more of that. Well, when their book comes out, God knows when, and it's whether that comes out before or after the Chaos Marine book. We'll have to see. And then the Chaos Marine book is, I would really hope that they might actually lean into the possibility of having supplements for the Traitor Legions.
It will pain me because I mean, like my Alpha Legion, I miss them dearly, but I've kind of like I'm over that relationship now. But that would
just
bring me
live
back in.
vicariously through me, Alex. Don't
That's
worry.
Oh no, I will get Alpha Legion again if it happens. Don't get me wrong. I'm just saying I will do it, but through tears.
Considering as well,
if they release supplements, I will buy them all.
Considering as well that the fact that in terms of the normal Space Marines, that they were all broken up from the legions into chapters, and obviously the Chaos Space Marines are still their own legions, and they are called legions, and they are huge. They should, in reality, treated as such, but they are not.
I might be wrong, and Evan can correct me on this, but aren't Chaos Legions way more different than the Loyalist Legions are?
Yes.
Because none of them have a codex to go by. They're all like, completely different.
They all just kind of have their own thing.
Word Bearers and Death Guard still abide by their old Legion structures. So
Right.
they still have
I thought
companies
Iron
and
Warriors
stuff.
did as well.
No,
But then
they're broken as shit now.
But then
okay.
Word Bearers have the extremely different because they're about summoning fucking demons, right?
Yeah.
It's just Chaos are just more interesting. They
They're also
deserve
led by
supplements way
chaplains.
more than Marines ever would.
I think if we ask for anything for GW this year, it's chaos supplements for the legions, because they fucking need it. They absolutely need it.
Also, Craftworld Elder deserve supplements as well because they're like the big.
Well, at that
point,
point, it becomes that every faction with sub factions gets a supplement.
No, because Craftworld Elder used to have supplements.
Oh, really?
Yeah. They had like iodine and stuff, and they were really fucking good and really fluffy. And you could have like your Wraith Lord be your warlord, and it was the coolest shit ever. It was how you would play Wraith armies in an interesting way, but that's gone now.
What's a strange thing is that especially for was it iodine?
Yeah.
Wraith Guard are sentient. Wraith Lords are sentient. Like
Sorry. Here's the other one. All right. So Anari. When the fuck is that gonna go? What the fuck is happening with that?
It's a lie.
Remember when they? That's all I'll say.
Remember getting like the Harlequin's got a
pisses me
White
off
Dwarf
so
update.
much.
That Yanari are gonna get they're gonna get on the back of the Ivrain box, and that's their codex. It's on the back of the box. You have to dig through your own instruction manual to find your rules.
It just says put the fucking Avatar of Iliad in there. Just
as
silly.
that done banging.
Yeah, I
That was a cool
legitimately
idea.
don't know what Yanari are.
Exactly right.
Yeah.
They were just as an idea then. Their leaders, so I forgot the word. The three of them.
Triumvirate of Iliad.
Yeah, the Triumvirate of Iliad. So, and Ivrain specifically is like the most important person in recent lore because she's basically mainly responsible for resurrecting Gilliman.
Yeah.
Yes, it's her army. You would think that's important.
Nah. And I was like, we're bringing a Death God back, and that's advancing the Eldar lore. Nah.
I think they'll do it eventually. I wish they would do it as their own codex, but I can see them doing it like it's a supplement. But to play the supplement, you need the 3 other codexes.
Yeah, so this
We'll
is the
see.
thing. Like,
Bonkers.
I thought that to myself, just like I'm not quite sure I actually have heard anything on these guys, clicked on the Games Workshop tab for them, and it seems to be just randomly picked
Eldar models?
Kari, Eldar, and Harlequin
It's
models.
everything.
Yeah.
A Black
But the thing,
Guardian's
it's
still
not
there.
even all of them. It's just randomly picked.
It's a combination of.
Yeah, they can have all, units from all of it.
Mhm.
That's their entire,
They can have
entire shtick, but
everything but homunculus covens.
yeah,
but
they're
they
too far
can
gone.
have homunculus creations.
Oh, they're
Um,
not supposed to.
Well, they supposedly it listed here is things like Claude Fiends and the Chimera and things like that
Oh, those
think-
just beasts.
I think because those like
Fight
cause
pits.
are
stuff, right?
pets.
Mm.
Yeah.
I don't know, but yeah,
There's a lot.
It's
There's a
so
lot that
odd.
needs to be done. There really is a lot. And
They just need to- they need to just completely detach and become their own faction rather than.
That's what I think.
I agree.
we can only hope. And I think it's also one of those things that it's that kind of main point that 40k is just this weird amorphous blob, because there's so much bulk and there's so much extra that is there that's been causing problems for years, and they've not been able to really deal with it. And Sigmar doesn't have that problem as much because they completely destroyed Warhammer Fantasy and they made a new game and ironed out these problems pretty much immediately. Well, at least when the second edition came out, because they got way better. When the game actually got rules,
pretty much immediately 2 years later.
2 years later. But I mean, compared to 40k, like however long it's taken us to get to this point.
Yeah, I do feel like with Ninth they really are trying to tighten it up,
Mm.
It's
Yeah,
working.
they are.
It's working so
And it-
far.
and it is working. It needs to be quicker.
It really does. But at the same time, everything's slowed down anyway.
Nah, you know what, I'm happy with the pace because if it went quicker, it'd be 8th edition again, where the codex is just not that interesting.
That's fair.
Fair enough.
Most factions you can still play, right?
Yeah.
That's true. Especially at least whoever got a really nice Psychic Awakening. And I'm
My
hoping.
opinion,
Oh, sorry, Karen.
Though doesn't mean shit because the armies that I have new codexes. So
Yeah,
I'm
that's
just...
true. I currently don't suffer your problems because I'm already covered. I mean, mine's the only army.
Sort of 8th edition problem.
I have 2 armies now that don't have books. One of them is Admech, which got the best Psychic Awakening. And the other one is the Tempestus, which also got a really good Psychic Awakening and makes them what looked to me to be a very interesting and fun force to play. Like, I know I'm never gonna win with it, but it'd be really cool. I also kind of think that this is what leads into a last little thing that we can start to kind of mention of how other games kind of like there's a lot of other games out there too. Obviously they don't have as much lore and as much backstory as Games Workshop and have the history behind it. But, you know, there are other games that have some kind of cool stuff out there. Obviously Star Wars Legion is out there. You can fuck about with Star Wars stuff if you're into that. If you want to stay in the same vein as sci-fi, you've got like Infinity, you've got just trying to think, there's a lot of small print games as well. I mean, Infinity's the main one that comes to mind. Fantasy, there's loads. Because you've got like Frostgrave, you've got War Machine, you've got Game of Thrones, you've got Conquest, The Last Argument of Kings, which is such a long title. Like, there are, you know, Kings of War. There's a lot of options out there. And I think, at least considering, just to kind of fill up the meantime of people who, you know, may not be able to get a codex for quite a long time, and they feel like they're kind of stuck, there are other things available, you know?
Yeah, definitely. I think a lot of people who play Warhammer and are really into the hobby, I guess Tim isn't forget. They're just not at all informed about other games because Games Workshop has such a huge empire over the sort of wargaming hobby,
Yeah.
and it's
Like the Warhammer section of most places or friendly local game stores dwarfs any other brand, and even though as well.
No,
Oh, sorry.
the range as well of our brands as well.
Obviously, yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
every other brand doesn't have a big range, right?
Yes, not necessarily apart from War Machine, but that's got like fuck tons. And even then, when you're walking around a town in in anywhere in the UK, and you're not going to dive into a wargaming shop or anything like that on the regular, but what will you see is a black storefront that says Warhammer on the front of it. It's one of those things is that it's because it's everywhere, and two, it's even if you don't play, you know the name of it because it is surprisingly
It's kinda,
Synonymous.
Yeah.
with the
I was going to say it's synonymous with tabletop.
I couldn't
board
remember the word.
It's like Warhammer is the big one for war games, and then like the same way D&D is like the big one for
role-playing
RPGs,
games.
where like people will call things that aren't D&D a D&D game, and it's just like,
And you're like,
Yeah.
it's not.
It's
though.
like your
I played Cyberpunk
parents-
D&D the other day, and you're like, you just
it's like
kind
your
of leave them
parents
blank
saying,
stare.
"Get
Is that
off your
Cyberpunk, or is that-
Nintendo."
Oh yeah, get off the
Yeah.
Nintendo. It's like it's not a Nintendo. Fuck off. Like, I guess it just kind of wraps around to a point of like there are so many other things out there for like, okay, you play war games, right? You play a lot of Warhammer. What are you interested? Sci-fi, fantasy. Okay, you're like fantasy stuff. Have a look at Frostgrave, right? Play some skirmish level with really good story building and some really fun scenarios. And using your Age of Sigmar models, done. Like that's a new game you can play with your friends.
That's like to be fair, like because I'm not too fussed at any other games. That's like the one that I'm like, yes, tasty.
Yeah, like
It looked really good.
or even there are if you, for example, play D&D and you want to try something a bit different. If you've got someone who knows and you're interested in a setting like Vampire the Masquerade, the Cyberpunk just got its new edition of Cyberpunk Red. And obviously, off the back of 2077 coming out, instead of just adapting D&D to be in Cyberpunk, which is what pretty much everyone else ends up doing anyway, is just play a different pissing game. Like, we're about to start an Edge of the Empire campaign for Star Wars. I've never played it before. I'm really looking forward to it because it's a new game. It's a new dice system. It's something that I can just kind of learn and mess around with. And it's not always the same D&D stuff. And yes, there are source books that kind of come out that add extra flavor, but there are also other games that are doing the same thing that D&D is doing now, months or years ago, that people are just ignorant on. Card games, perfect example as well. You don't want to play Magic? All right, go play Yu-Gi-Oh. Go play any other card game because there are so many of them.
They just play a different card game.
I mean, apart from the new setup of Kaldheim, it actually looks pretty sick, but that's because I really like the style of it. But that's just me. Side thing, and I'm hoping at least with this podcast and just definitely as well mine and Evan's fleeting interest in things, because we will get interested in stuff pretty quickly and be like, oh, this is cool. It's like, yeah, I'm really interested in that. Cool, we'll just fucking give that a go. That we can kind of expand on that, and also this hobby is not just wargaming stuff. I think I'm looking forward to talking about other random hobby shit. Board gaming, RPGs, some video game stuff in there, if we're all, depending on what we're all talking about, because we all play it. We all play video games. We all do the Vedum Gams.
Never heard of it.
I think
Banned.
definitely in terms of what's on this channel, mainly sticking to the
hobby.
war game stuff.
Physical stuff,
Yeah,
right?
it's the hobby.
Yeah, the physical stuff.
We're talking
but I
about it
mean,
anyway.
we all on our own personal stuff. I mean, guys, you stream a lot of gaming things.
Stream in big quotation marks. I
But
attempt.
yeah, I think I'm looking forward to, as you say, exploring all the different options that are out there.
It's a time for exploration. And after that sounds really creepy, I think we should talk about some models. And just some extra stuff, because I think I'm pretty fucking tired. I've had a very long day at work and then this, and my throat hurts.
I think I'm ready to call it.
Who has a topic left that we didn't?
I have a Bulgrin to look at. Do you want to see him a Bulgrin?
Just check.
No,
Go for it.
okay, cool. All right. Well, I want to show off my Bulgrin that I painted and finished on the Tuesday stream. There he is. Look at him. Look at that lad. The girth of him.
Huge.
The first one of, I'm hoping 4, because if I take more than 4, then they don't fit in a Valkyrie. And I had given him the wrong shield, but, you know, fuck it. Like... oh no, I...
Pop it off.
I mean, to be fair, yeah, it's probably a pop-off job, but painted him today, so it's... I'm really happy with how the skin turned out. And actually, this
That's
side
good.
picture actually shows it a lot better than the front on. We'll say, for the skin recipe, for anyone interested, just so it's on saved video, the skin for this is, and I recommend doing this for all skin, if you're just trying to go for a more human-looking tone, or like more of like a white skin tone, that's a bit more, you know, realistic. Start with Katachan flesh, layer that, wash that with flesh shade, then throw 2 thin coats of Cadian flesh tone on the top of that, flesh shade it again. I haven't got the extra highlight color yet, but I was thinking either just a final top-up of Cadian or some Kislev flesh on the top of that, you know, just to really kind of add that extra accent on that. But I'm happy. The 141st Lumerian Dragons have got a single Bulgrin. And I might actually finish a Tempestus squad this week. That would be weird.
Insane.
It's never been done. It's unheard of. Me finishing a fucking squad. My god. Okay, I'm done with showing off my Bulgrin now. Is there anything else anyone wants to add today? Because we've had a chill, hopefully, I would hope.
Trying to sort out this dinner plate. I added a wall to it. Look at that.
Oh, look at that wall. Alex is trying to kitbash a Chaos Wall Mammoth off of a record because I suggested to use the Lord of the Rings Mammoth.
It's pretty much the only way you can do it.
Oh yeah, because the normal Wall Mammoth is stupid.
The plan is to put things on the base.
You're gonna have to raise it a little bit higher. Your nameplate's blocking it.
Oh, hang on. Let me just... The camera doesn't like me. But, like, that's the general... I'm trying to just figure out the base. Like, this is glued. I'm trying to put things on the base, because otherwise there's too much blank space.
Yeah.
I think that's somewhat alright.
Get some, like mushy, mud, cobblestone, kind of mixing things
Yeah,
into
I'm gonna order some... Is it brown stuff I think I was gonna get?
Yeah, brown stuff.
With a roller.
Brown stuff's good. Just get the roller, slap it all on there, you get some really nice looking bases pretty quickly.
Yeah, exactly.
And just spray it.
In general, I've put an image of the battle wagon that is so close to being finished.
It's almost done. He's
I
almost
also did this
there.
space, which has just got like a tiny bit of fence on it. Ooh. Because that'll be a chariot.
Oh, fucking hell. Like, it's the dream to actually finish models sometimes. Especially vehicles, because I just hate painting vehicles. I can only really, surprisingly, paint like one thing at a time, and I'm super once I've done that one thing, I'm like, right, put it down for a while, then come back 2 weeks later. I'm like, oh, I need to paint like all of these other Tempestus guys. How many models do I need for that army? Oh, 80. Oh, sick. Okay. It's got to take a while. Oh no, Tempestus is just like you get 6 squads of 10, you know. And then plus like vehicles and everything else. I'm like, it sucks, but it's an army I really want to play. That's the problem. I think
vehicles are surprisingly easy to paint.
Yeah, well, no, but I am a gorilla and I'm stupid on these things.
No,
but,
I know, but like, they're not. I think they're easy to paint.
It's pretty much just as you mentioned, just spray it the color you want and then dry brush the fuck out of it. So
as long as it's the color that you want.
Yeah, luckily I picked the Fang and as the base blue. And Evan gave me a big spray can of that, which is actually still full, so I can just use that for everything. It's great.
Well, you can't, because it's the only one left, so...
It's the only one left in the world.
Yeah, you'll find a similar one from Army Painter or something there.
Oh no, I hate Army Painter fucking spray cans. I absolutely despise them. They are god-awful.
Oh god.
The nozzle on them is terrible. I have always had a bad experience with them.
And
on that
note...
Well, I'm really mad about things. We'll call it there. I'd like to thank everyone for watching, and I'd also like my co-hosts, Alex, George, Evan, and John when he turned up eventually.
I'm so sorry.
I'm joking. For helping host this today. Cheers, guys. Always appreciate it. We will see you on Tuesday for our weekly workshop, and maybe talking about figuring out filming faction focuses, because we need to do that at some point.
Yeah.
We're gonna put a plan in place, but we'll make sure to announce on our socials, which is on our Instagram and Twitter, which if you use the command !socials in our chats, respectively. You should be able to get them. Or just search Off the Shelf Hobby on Twitter and Instagram. You should be able to find us. Apart from that, drop us a follow on Twitch. If you are on YouTube, please subscribe and hit the bell and give us a like. It really helps us out, and it actually means that our videos can be seen to more and more people, and we can build this up and make this a really nice, wholesome hobby channel where we say the fuck word a lot. And on that note, I think we're going to say goodbye. Thank you all very much for watching, and we will see you on Tuesday.
No.
Buenos dias.